Hello and welcome to the Oduor Roundtable podcast. From Oraro and Company Advocates, my name is Melanie Mwenda and I'll be your moderator today. I have the pleasure of hosting the 2024 Pupillage cohort from Oraro and Company Advocates. I'd like them to introduce themselves.
My name is Odhiambo.
My name is Electine Achieng.
My name is Leanne Agutu.
My name is Peter Kariuki.
My name is Alfonce Oduor.
I'm Venessa Sifunjo.
My name is Mirriam Mallei.
Let's dive into today's conversation. So, Alfonce, what's been your favorite moment this year at OCO?
Thank you, Melanie. One of my favorite moments this year was when I attended the OCO run. I recall when the whistle was blown, I started to run. And it's at that moment when I realized that I had the ability to showcase my running skills. Something I had done for like 6 years ago. I hadn't trained to do anything. So I recall a fortnight to the running, I went around promising people, just thumping that I'll win, I'll defeat them. But to my surprise, I found out that I wasn't able to run. People like Steve ran past me. I realized that I was fatigued, but I thank God that I made it to the finishing point. So that was my favorite moment of this year. So Steve, how about you?
The open door policy at the farm made it interesting for the pupils to access every advocate. And I remember Alfonce moving from door to door, asking partners, any work for the boy? Also, the OCO meetings every month where we cut cakes was also my favorite moment.
In fact, Steve, I do remember when one of the cake cutting sessions, you're told to give a vote of thanks on behalf of all the pupils. And the young man went like, so this on behalf of my pupils. So tell us about that. Who are your pupils, Steve?
The collaboration amongst pupils and the unity and conversation made us so to act freely. And honestly, that day I was caught off guard that I didn't know what to say. I just found myself calling all the pupils my pupils.
I also remember Alfonce was like our managing pupil. Like he would make us feel like some of us are just joking, like he would come and tell us how he has files that he calls his babies. Or he would come and be like, no, I'm so busy. I have a meeting with my client. And you're like, okay. You don't even have a client and people are already having clients. Or maybe I'd text him when I'm at home and he's like, I have submissions for Mr. Raro. I have submissions for Gio. He would always name drop. And you'd be like, I must be really sleeping on my pupillage.
Those have indeed been very lovely moments. And it's been a joy sharing them alongside my fellow pupils. So, Leanne, what's been your greatest lesson this year?
I think my greatest lesson has been the value of collaboration. And I think that whenever something is happening or when you're going through a new experience, having people to handle it alongside you is important. So whether we are arguing about a legal concept or laughing about non-legal things, I think that having this group of people around me has been the most valuable part of this year. And I think my greatest lesson is that whether it's difficult, whether it's easy, it's important to have people around you. How about you, Peter? What's been your greatest lesson?
Okay, picking it up from where Leanne has left, I believe my greatest lesson this year was the art of having grace and trusting yourself, especially when faced with complex legal issues that come from the seniors. It came to a point where you are faced with something very novel, but through and through the art of collaboration and the art of believing in ourselves and the art of reading, you're able to surmount all the challenges. So that was my greatest lesson. Over to you, Mallei.
My greatest lesson has been to prioritize myself, put myself first, especially my mental health. In as much as you work, you need to take care of yourself so that you present the best version of yourself. How about you, Venessa?
For me, my greatest lesson this year has been that I am that girl and I can do anything I set my mind to.
I think I speak for all of us when I say that when we came to the farm, of course, before pupillage, and we were all in the boardroom, we were all wondering, are we going to make it? Will we really be able to do this? And for some of us who have never been to a farm and our experiences have been like in the NGO space, we were very skeptical. I was, at least I know that for a fact. So I'm just proud of us because you're all sitting here and we all made it, guys. We made it. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your lessons with our listeners. Now, Alfonce, over to you. Looking at the individual that walked in OCO in January and the one seated here today, do the expectations and reality of that individual align?
I would say the expectations aligns with the reality, because when I joined this farm in Indonesia, I wanted more of cohort exposure. And looking at the practice areas of the farm does a lot of litigation, complex arbitration matters, insurance matters, employment, and with the daily court attendances, I would say that the reality stamped the pass. The farm has seamless rotations during the pupillage. I rotated in all the core departments of the farm, the ever-changing tax department, litigation, commercial, corporate, conveyancing, and I was able to learn as much as possible. Because the destination has always been to be an advocate, but then the journey starts with the pupillage.
The idea of working in rotation from commercial litigation to corporate department to conveyancing to tax and employment law made it easy to understand the legal areas. And I can say that when I walked into this firm, it looked more confusing. But along down the line, I was able to learn various areas of law, especially in contract drafting where I had a little knowledge. I was able to, my expectation was surpassed.
I think for me, given that we were taken through orientation and told about the rotations, the departments, so of course I expected things like drafting, attending court. But what I'd say for me is the reality exceeded my expectations abundantly. And as my good friend Venessa says, we attract abundance with ease. So for me, I'd say I thought I'd go to magistrate court and maybe draft at the high court if I exceed. But I never thought I would join Miss Noella Lubano in her journey at the Supreme Court. And I'd say that was an interesting experience. Yeah, I learned a lot studying the Supreme Court from cover to cover. I'd brag and say I can call myself, as Melanie says, a Supreme Court researcher or a Supreme Court expert. Yes.
For me, I decided to treat this experience like a blank page. I came in with very little expectation, hoping to experience this in its fullness. And one thing that I can say for a fact is, in myself, I have seen exponential growth. I have become more confident in my abilities. I have gained a vast amount of knowledge and information. And I think for me, the most important thing is that I have learned to trust myself more. So I think by allowing myself to experience this without having any expectation has caused me to be surprised by myself, really, and to enjoy the fullness of the experience.
Okay, I would say before joining the farm, I had very high expectations. I had my own set goals, set plans. And I think joining the farm, I had marked it as a place where I want to gain a holistic approach of a legal profession, in that I'm able to tackle the legal work, which is doing research, doing drafting, and also tailoring suggestions or opinions to the client needs. And what I'd say is that I received that when I joined the farm. I was able to grow. I was able to get the holistic approach. I was able to do drafting, and even into the future, there are critical lessons which I learned from the farm being resilience, professionalism, as well as the art of grace, which I will incorporate and will guide my legal journey moving forward.
I think on my end, looking at the Venessa who walked into this farm in January and the Venessa sitting here today, I see great, and I mean immense growth. I'm so proud of the lady who walked in here, and I'm so proud of the lady that she has become. I walked in here not knowing what to expect. Again, I'll reiterate, I had never experienced, a farm environment. I had always been in other sectors, but private practice. And so coming in here, I was not really quite sure what to expect or, what to put in my goals. So I just decided to roll with it. And I think in that process, I have learned so much. I have been in all the departments. I have worked with, I'd say, everyone. And I just don't mean the advocates. I mean the partners. I mean the clerks, the support staff. Everyone has been so supportive. Great environment. I have learned so much. And I'd say a 15-year-old me would be so proud of me today. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. And I hope that it's only up from here.
I think for me, when I think about the Melanie who walked in and the Melanie seated here today, a particular quote from that I once had Mr. Odhiambo state speaks true. So he was describing an encounter that he had with his mentor, Mr. Oraro, Senior Counsel. And Mr. Oraro used the illustration of a rubber band to the effect that it is until you stretch a rubber band that you know its full potential. So I think for me, it's been an year where I have been that rubber band, that I have moved throughout the various departments in the farm, being stretched by the various people that I have encountered, to an extent where I have now learnt my limits, which I believe I will continue growing in. I have picked up new skills, not only about the practice of law, but about Melanie as an individual. So it's been a year of growth for me. And just as my colleagues have stated, it's been a beautiful opportunity throughout the year.
50th January 2024, I walked in, I'm a very scared girl. I didn't know exactly what was before me. I happen to be a pretty quiet person, if you don't know me. And I'm pretty scared sometimes. But the farm has really changed my perspective of the corporate world. I had this thing where I thought that everyone was going to be so stuck up, mean, what they always say about the corporate world. But guess what? They proved me wrong. Everyone has been so good. They extended grace when doing the work. And I can say that I've also made friends in the legal world, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds. Thank you so much, Royal Company Advocates.
As we come to a close, any parting shots?
Quoting from Mr. Oraro, Senior Counsel, where he said that human beings are born averagely. A few of them are born genius. And adding to the experience that I've gotten from the farm, I think the future is bright, and I look forward to interact with the seniors and my learned colleagues. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, the OCO family, for hosting us this year. We really enjoyed being with you.
To every young professional out there, especially lawyers, I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to know that you're who you think you are. To my fellow advocates in waiting, go ye and be great in the world. Thank you, Reverend Company Advocate. You have done as well.
Okay, I would want to thank the farm for being kind to us, for being gracious enough to afford us this opportunity to serve under their tutelage. Moving forward, I'm looking to be impactful with regards to the values that I got and have continued to learn from my seniors in order to impact the next lot that will join the farm and also the next lot that will be getting into the legal practice. I thank everyone that has held my hand and who will continue to hold my hand looking into the future.
This has been such a pivotal year, and quoting from two books that I have been currently reading by Brianna West, The Pivot Year and The Mountain Is You. And for anyone who feels like self-sabotaging, or maybe you're having imposter syndrome as we begin this new journey as advocates, I would just like to quote, and it says, "Give yourself credit for everything you've overcome that you never thought you would, and everything you built that you never thought you could. You've come so much further than you think. You're so much closer than you realize." Thank you so much, Oduor and Company advocates. Nothing but gratitude in our hearts.
Isaac Newton once said, "From where I sit, I don't see anyone doing it without standing on the shoulders of the great." With this quote, I want to thank George Oraro Senior Council. I also want to thank my mentors who have been my motivators, my colleagues who are advocates in waiting, who've been my contributors, and I want to thank Oduor and Company advocates.
On my end, this is what I'd like to say. If you know me at a personal level, I believe in myself so much, it's actually ridiculous. So borrowing from that, I will let you know this. In the course of your lifetime, you will enter the greatest rooms, sit with some of the greatest minds and people. And when you do, always remember that you deserve to be there. And yes, proven and tested from my end, imposter syndrome is a hoax. Thank you, OCO. Thank you to my fellow advocates in waiting. Thank you to every single person who has carried me to this point. And finally, immense gratitude from me.
The experience that I have had and the people that I have met during this year has left me with no choice but to be optimistic about the future. Interacting with people who have been at this, people who've done this for a while, experienced lawyers, and watching them work, listening to their wisdom, the future seems bright. We have no choice but to believe that the abundance that has followed the people around us is the same abundance that will follow us. And for the advocates in waiting, I am optimistic that there is so much in store for us. Our futures are extremely bright. And whether it is here or in whatever paths we decide to take for the future, I really hope that our paths do cross again. And thank you to Oduor and Company advocates for this opportunity. And thank you to the advocates in waiting for making this experience even more memorable.
So a special thank you to each and every one of you for joining us in this special take as we have shared on our experience in the year of 2024 as pupils at OCO. To our listeners, stay tuned to the OCO Roundtable podcast. Until then, goodbye and take care.